Now, I just wanted to very briefly mention this. I received this email this morning. C40 Cities, More Madness, with a YouTube link. People should go and have a look at that YouTube video. Thanks for your great journalism from Les. I just wanted to say, we get lots of videos telling us about things. And of course, in many cases, the things are already on the UK Column website. So if we search for C40, we find 4 articles on C40 cities and so on over the last lot of years. We've been talking about this for a very long time. And this isn't in any way to suggest that you shouldn't send stuff to us. But what I would ask is that people do search on the main UK Column website for whether we've covered topics that they're sending around by email to see what we've covered, and maybe send this stuff around as well. That would be extremely helpful. Now, Alex, very, very quickly, please, just a couple of mentions.
In support of what you said, Mike, yesterday was a bumper production day. Some of our viewers still don't realise that we have a well-stocked website. So just published in the last 24 hours, and this is going to be more the norm than the exception from now on, this kind of tempo, especially on a Tuesday. We have Hugh McCarthy's part 2 on what we're doing to our children. You should be sharing all these as well as talking to us, just to support what Mike said. We have Ian Davis on sustainable renewable energy being neither of these two. And Sean has already tweeted a reply. You know who else promised utopia and clean air? Hitler. We have a video interview between David Scott and Dr. James Tour, or Jimmy Tour, on the origin of life problems with researchers. We have the leader of a Scottish party, Richard Lucas of the Scottish Family Party, writing about children's so-called right to be sexually abused. We have an opinion piece on I'm not anti-vax, I'm pro-informed consent, and you should be too. Already been tweeted by Dr. David Cartland, a heavy hitter on Twitter, and you'll see at the bottom of the screen that just by that means alone, it's had 28,000 views in the first 24 hours of it being up. And we have this from David Tate in Scotland. A Freedom of Information response to him indicates that no doctors or nurses died involving COVID, as the jargon puts it, for the past 3 years. And Rustler has replied to that, saying, interesting that healthcare professionals have had the lowest death rate in all of these different professional groups, as with these statistics on screen. Debi's blog this week is not up. We get people communicating with us, not so much as aware that Debi has a weekly blog. The website has more than a top screen to it. Scroll down as if it was a newspaper with a top half and a bottom half of the front cover, and you'll find Debi's blog. The current one will be up today or tomorrow. Garland Nixon, a heavy hitter of American news, has noticed something that's not even on our homepage anymore, the day of the Skripal. Maybe he used the search function, and he's brought that to American viewers' notice, and several people have put the replies on screen that you've already seen. So Twitter and other social networks are wonderful tools to have if you know how to use them, but don't rely just on them first. Go to UK Column and make that your social network. Find what's on the UK Column community as a subscribed member, and if you're not, at least use the search function, as Mike says.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Now, Debi, MHRA.
MHRA. Well, I received a reply to my board question from the one and only Dr. Alison Cave. It came in yesterday. So this is an exclusive for UK Column. Of course, you'll remember that I had to remind them that they hadn't replied to my question. So I had to write to them yet again. She says their patient safety is on every agenda. Please freeze the screen. I won't read it out because I know we're tight for time. But she says patient safety is on every agenda. But she said there was no reference to the wider collaborative partnerships. So what does that mean? Partnerships. Does that mean that we could expect to see Pfizer on a board meeting, I wonder, because she seems to be putting the Patient Safety Commissioner, which is what the question I asked, when will the Patient Safety Commissioner be invited to the board? And what she says is that she's already established an ongoing dialogue with Dr. Henrietta Hughes. Well, that would be good if we could know what that is. And they're going to think about a future invitation to the board. But if Dr. Henrietta Hughes wants to talk to them about any matter concerning vaccine safety, concerning safety or vaccine injuries, perhaps, please feel free. So I think we should all be asking Dr. Henrietta Hughes to contact Dr. Alison Cave direct and absolutely insist on an attendance at the board meeting. And perhaps she could bring up vaccine injuries at the board meeting. So that's my one suggestion for the MHRA. And then very quickly, going on a theme really of today, I'd just like to highlight my blog, because I also get loads of wonderful emails from some wonderful, wonderful people telling me about things that I have actually already covered in my blog. So it does take me a long time to do my blog, and I do try to be as detailed. And what I put in it is often forecasts of what is coming up. And the next slide will illustrate that no more so than this. So the government is planning a 500% expansion of virtual wards. Surprise, surprise. Steve Barclay, we are building the NHS back to where we want it to be. So that's that Build Back Better. Well, I'm pretty angry with Steve Barclay because Steve Barclay has just brought out an urgent and emergency recovery plan. Well, I would just like to tell the BBC, and I'd like to ask Mr. Barclay, have a look at UK Column, because this isn't an emergency plan. This is the long-term plan. And I wrote an article, you can see it on screen there. That was last year, July, I think it was, 2022, the NHS long-term plan and mental health implementation plan, Phoenix or Dinosaur. And in it, if people don't want to read the whole article, and I can appreciate that some people don't want to read full paragraphs, at the end of the article, I actually bullet a load of points that are in the NHS long-term plan to make it easy for people to see what's coming up. Now, the ones that you can see that I've just put little red dashes against are the projections and the reports that we were making on UK Column a year ago. So the next three slides, just freeze the screen for a couple of seconds on each slide, and you'll see that I made all of these projections a long time ago. So why the BBC and Steve Barclay isn't watching UK Column, I absolutely don't know. So please scroll down to the end of that article for all the bullet points. And then you can see not only what's being implemented now was planned a long, long time ago, but also what's coming up in the next 6 months, in the next year. Personal budgets, for example. Why have we increased the children's palliative care budget, for example? All the things, mental health vehicles, ambulances. This isn't part of Steve Barclay's emergency plan. He's not been sitting there working this out with civil servants. It was already planned, and in his diary, probably for August or July this year, he'll start announcing personal budgets. He's just following the plan. So please, could everybody just have a little look at that article, and then you'll know what to expect going forward for the next few months anyway.
Right, so what we'll do, Debbie, is we will put that article up in the editor's choice section on the front page of the website straight after the news programme.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, we're out of time for the news. We have a lot of material still to talk about. Some of that we'll bring into extra time. So if you're able to stay with us, join us for extra time. And we've got some very interesting commentary, including more from Debi about matters medical. But I'd also like to say, if you are appreciating that UK Column has expanded its capacity, that the whole range of subject areas we're covering is growing greater. We're covering things in more depth, and I think there's a change in quality in many areas. We've only been able to do this because of the huge support from our viewers and listeners and supporters. So we have more plans for this year, which I think are very exciting. But how are we able to do what we do? We're only able to do it because of the support from all of our wonderful viewers. So we're going to say to you, thank you very much. Keep supporting us, and we will keep growing. Thank you very much.
Back for extra in a couple of seconds.
Bye-bye.